Okay, so this is the first Node.js testing working group meeting. So hopefully I won't mess up running the agenda too badly. And let's. I know that most other working groups start off with sort of a stand-up to sort of everybody can say what they've been working on, if anything that's relevant, and maybe we should emulate that. But since I'm surprising everybody with this, maybe I'll go first. Which is that I've been trying to track down the last of the remaining flaky tests. I really want Alexis. I think it's your accept pull request job that we tried to implement 6 or 7 months ago, and
Yes.
and yeah, well, I really want the tests to get to the point where they're not the problem with that. So, and I think we're close. And I'm waiting for the trying to revert a couple changes that broke tests in Windows, and the holdup there is that unfortunately, and it might have been masked by the test being broken for a couple days. Unfortunately, at least last I checked, the Windows hosts on the CI infrastructure that are not rack-based, so the Microsoft Azure hosts, have been failing builds with alarming frequency. I know that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Do
you've been working
you
on that.
do you have an idea of for how long it has been like that?
I don't. I mean, the Windows tests were broken for about a day and a half or two. um, but maybe we can hop on IRC after this and see if there's any decent information that I can give you. I probably don't have much, but
Okay.
that's what I've been working on. Someone else start talking.
I've been part of the build working group, and I want to get to the point where the tests are all green, but I am willing to do more on the host side and keeping the hosts alive and solving these connection problems that have been frequent and we couldn't handle yet. Um, and I also work on Windows, so if any test has problems specific to Windows that I can help it with, I also can do that.
Awesome. How about we go to Alexis next?
Yes, I haven't been doing anything recently pertaining to testing, but I did do testing in the past where I focused mostly on Windows tests. I brought like Windows kind of up to par in 0.12. And then kind of my mission was trying to keep it up to par, so that's why I kind of put a lot of investment in CI, which seemed the right way to do it, not just to do it for Windows, but to do it for all platforms, kind of enable all the collaborators to test all their changes, right? And but then we've been struggling with a lot of reliability issues in CI, so we're still struggling with those. It got better, but yeah, before we can re-enable that job that will test all the pull requests before they get merged, we need to make CI more reliable. So that's where I'm coming from.
Awesome. Miles, you want to talk about what you've been doing?
Oh, you know what? Hold on one second. I was getting very confused and I was wondering why. It's because I had the Hangout in another window. It was very hard to follow. Sorry about that.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Santi, I'm sorry, do you prefer Santi or Santiago or something else?
Hi, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Santi is better. Okay.
Okay, great.
I've been tracking down the flaky test as well. I've been I don't know if lucky, but I can somehow reproduce cause a lot of tests to fail in my OS X. I don't know why. So I've been able to track them down and fix them, a lot of them, I think. Well, even I fixed a couple of cluster issues while I found those failing tests. I don't know. I've been tracking some other testing, failing tests in FreeBSD and Linux, and I don't know. That's all I've been doing.
I've been really happy with all the things you're finding, because like you keep submitting these issues and pull requests saying this or that test is flaky, and I'm like, I've never seen that test fail. And then I go and look at the change manual, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a race condition there, and we need to fix that. That's fantastic. So please thank you for all you've done lately. It's been absolutely great. Hey, Miles, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the work that I've been doing has not been explicitly on testing itself, but more on kind of like the infrastructure around Canary and the gold mine. But I've been thinking about a little bit about some of the benchmarking tests that we have as well, surrounding the buffer issue and some of the questions that are being raised there. And I noticed that we don't have a lot of documentation, or really any documentation, for how we benchmark or guidelines for benchmarking, nor do we have anything in continuous integration for running the benchmarks across multiple systems. You know, now we're starting to get into stuff that may border on more build group related stuff than test related group stuff. But I just am interested in kind of like focusing on that and how we could improve how we do that workflow.
Cool. I do have the suspicion that most of the things that, assuming this group, takes off and starts doing a lot of wonderful things, that most of the things we're going to do are probably going to involve the build group as well, to varying extents, but we'll see. Okay, so I see that there's the agenda items I threw up in the issue in the repo, and I see that Santi opened up another issue, so we'll maybe tack that on to the end if we have time, and if not, next time, and that'll give people a chance to read it and comment on it on GitHub and that sort of thing. It does look like it's not time critical. So first thing first, I mean, to make the group official, there's certain documents we need to create and have them ratified by the TSC, and I created a pull request, and I see there's a typo that Santi caught in there that I need to fix. That's a good one. Okay, cool. Has anybody had a chance to look at it, and does anyone have any comments they want to make about it here and now, or is this kind of like no one's really looked at it and let's move on and talk about something else and come back to this another time?
Well, I took a quick look, and well, are you going to seek ratification by the TSC right away? Because I've seen before the TSC push back on this, in the sense that the working group can start doing the work, and basically after doing the work, then they can get ratification of the charter, right? Ratification of the charter meaning taking the charter away from the TSC. And if there is an overlap with the build working group, that will also need to ratify by the build working group. So basically my observation is that it's not necessary to get ratification first to start doing the work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wanted to get some draft documents together just because it just, that it just seemed like, having something there was probably a good idea. And to a certain extent, I do feel like a lot of the work that this group would do has been going on. But yeah, I've definitely seen exactly what you're describing, where I mean, even the documents say that like the working group should probably be doing the work before seeking ratification. So I hadn't really thought much about, does it make sense to seek ratification right away, and if we get pushed back, oh well, try again in a month or 3, or if it just makes sense to sit on it and wait. And I don't know that I really have a strong opinion either way.
Well, I think since we just started, having these meetings, and I would probably wait for a few weeks, maybe.
Okay.
But we can add this notes of what we intend to do in the README, for example.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
There are other working groups that aren't ratified, like the API working group, and yeah, it's fine to add this stuff in the README and say this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do, but it's not exactly a charter that's ratified by the TSC.
Yeah, I just maybe put something at the top saying this is a draft and it's not been ratified, but this is our intention.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, does anybody else have any other thoughts on this topic? Or
And we can probably put it in the README so that people can see that when they land on the repo. The pull request is now put in a separate charter document.
So the pull request does modify the README. It creates 3 documents and it adds some stuff to the README. So maybe
okay, yeah, you link
pull
it
out
to
the
yeah,
README
yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think it's okay.
All right, let's move on. So I put in something about the. Whoops, that's yeah. I put something in about the broken test that I talked about during the whatever stand up or something when we went around. I don't think that we need to really talk about it here unless anybody's particularly interested or curious. I think we can offline about it after this to sort of work out some build stuff if it needs to be worked out.
Yeah, I think that reverting the commit was a good course of action.
I don't think we've done it yet, unfortunately. It was kind of funny though, because like, and I'll try not to talk too long about this, but like, you know, the problem came about because it was like, oh, hey, the CI's red. It must be because there's a problem with the CI, and it's like, no, actually, your tests are actually the tests are failing, and then okay, so here's a revert. Figure out what to revert. Here's a revert. It's 3 lines. Should be quick and easy. Whoa, let's not act too quickly on this. And like, I totally get, like it was well intentioned. It was like, Ben's sick. Give him a chance to look at things and stuff. But it's kind of a little bit. Like unfortunately, like until it's reverted, people were going to be trained to ignore the CI when it tells them there's a problem, and that's like what got us into this situation in the first place.
Yes. In the past, I tried to make collaborators treat like these breaking changes, these regressions in CI as like high priority, right? They would kind of have a preferential treatment over the 24 or 48-hour windows for accepting PR.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I wonder actually if maybe that's a recommendation that can come out of this group to sort of like somehow get that into the collaborating.md or the onboarding doc that everyone reads when they become a collaborator.
Yes, I think there is some language in the collaborator guide. I don't recall the details, but that urgent fixes could be bypassing those rules basically, and yeah, we could call out specifically things that break CI.
I like your thinking a lot.
And yeah, so we revert and then let the original author then figure out what caused the regression.
Okay, so unless I guess, does anybody else have any other comments on that, or should we move on to looking at the flaky tests? All right, so there are a number of tests that have been labeled flaky for a while, and they don't pop up very often, but they do pop up. One is the test tick processor, which is github.com Node.js node. It's issue number 4427. It fails on Windows intermittently, and Matthew Loring, who I believe is an engineer at Google who wrote the test in the first place, suggested that he might be able to take a look at it and see if he can figure out what's up with it. But it's kind of stalled, and I don't know if there's anything to be done about it other than maybe ping Matthew again, and I don't know, some of some people who have said, I'm a Windows person. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can just tag Node.js/Windows or something. But I don't know if anybody has any insight or ideas on that particular flaky test.
I think pinging platform windows would be a good idea. Joao and I do eventually take responsibility for these Windows failures. We have a kind of a long queue of things to investigate, so we will get to it at some point. But yeah, I think tagging platform windows is a way at least to give us a notice, or give other people who work on Windows a notice that their attention is required.
Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts? All right. The other one is issue 4343, test debug no context. So that's been failing also on Windows. Let's see here. Anything else? No, it looks like it's just Windows. And Ben has already tagged platform Windows on it. And again, not, unfortunately, like some of these delve into mildly esoteric area, not absurdly esoteric, but mildly esoteric areas of the code base, I think. But I don't know if anybody has any additional thoughts on that one. All right, I'll let that one sit. Maybe I'll ponder over the next week or so if it makes sense to try to like assign individual champions to various issues. Although, like you were saying, Alexis, there's a long queue right now.
Actually, that test is close to the top of my queue, so I may get to it soon.
That's fantastic. I'll just be patient then.
But feel free to investigate if you come up with something.
So this is kind of a build question. There are. Let me see. I'm not sure. I have two tests in here that I have to look and see why I put them here. It might be that they're designated flaky in the parallel.status and sequential.status files, or it might be that they failed in some situation lately. I'm not sure. But the question either way is the same, which is that I find that when a test, I often the question comes up is, when is the last time this test failed? And I end up going, to the relevant platform in the Jenkins interface and hitting previous build, and then diving into the tap results or the console to see every time there's a failure to see if it's a different failure or the same failure. And that's really tedious and time consuming. And is there a way to search Jenkins results, or are they in a machine readable format somewhere that I can parse them or something, and do I need to be an admin to see that stuff and that sort of thing? And I'm glad that there are at least two people here from the build working group, because you probably know the answer.
I don't know any way to search Jenkins, and I've had the same problem, and I know what you're talking about. And the best I came up with is that not a solution, but an idea. I didn't do this because this would take some time to do. But in any page in Jenkins, if you add /API to the URL, you can get a JSON API and download the information about the jobs from there. And I think it would be easy to do something to do that automated.
Yeah, I might take a stab at that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I would suggest logging an issue in the testing repo, for example. Yeah, because I've had the same problem, so it's something that's not working well in Jenkins, and we could try to find a solution once and for all.
Cool. And I guess one offhand, do you know if so one thing I tried previously is to slurp in the tap results. Write something to crawl Jenkins and slurp in the grab the tap results. And unfortunately, on some platforms, maybe all of them, I'm not sure, but the tap results are the one thing that seem to frequently time out. Offhand, do you know if that's if the API, the slash API, if that mitigates that, or if I might still run into the same problem, or who knows?
My idea was parsing the console because that is quick. The tap results take a long time. I think it's because of the tap plugin, and it got better when we did some changes in the Jenkins server. But there's little that we can do about that. I don't know if the API has some kind of better way to check the tap results.
Okay, so it sounds like probably console is probably the thing to try if I'm only going to try one thing.
It would be nice to be able to publish those stat files somewhere where you can download all of them, right? Or download a certain date range and then do your own graphing.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, great. So I guess there are two other things. One is the issue that Santi filed, which I guess. Oh right. Asking if it makes sense to consider a stress test for running something in parallel. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I have some thoughts about that, but I think I'd prefer to put them in writing. Unless someone has something they strongly want to discuss right now about it, I would love to just let that one sit for a week and talk about it next time, if that's okay.
That's okay with me.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, I mean, there's a bunch of things I put in the agenda under stuff to think about, and there's a bunch of things that have come out of this conversation, and I'll listen to the recording when we're done and take minutes. One thing is that an administrative thing is in the testing repo, I'm not able to create labels, so I can't create issues and tag them with working group agenda tag and things like that, because the working group agenda tag doesn't exist and I can't create it. And I'm not sure if I'm guessing the only person here who might be able to change the settings for that would be Alexis. But do you know if there's
You're saying in the testing
process?
working group, I can see make a new label right now.
Really? Let me see. You're in Node.js /testing?
Yeah, /labels. I just posted the link into the group chat.
/labels. Okay, so clearly I'm just in. Oh, there it is, new label. All right, clearly I'm incompetent is what's going on. Cool.
No, it's a bit hidden, yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so right now the only thing I care about is labels, so I'll just great, cool. That takes care of that, and then if other things come up, I'll just ask again, and Miles can post a link and solve my problem. Awesome. All right, cool. Is there anything else we need to talk? Oh, I guess do we want to try to keep this meeting at the same time, or might it benefit from moving it around a little bit? How does this time work for people, et cetera, et cetera?
Do we want this to be a work group that coordinates by meetings?
That's actually a really good question. I guess a lot of them don't, huh?
A handful of the working groups that I've been involved in aim, to meet every 2 weeks, but essentially, if there isn't a backlog of issues, or if there isn't enough people to make a quorum, it just pushes, and it's not usually like a big deal.
Yeah, in the build working group, we settled on a meeting every 3 weeks, and we tag things. We open an issue about the meeting, and we collect all the things that are tagged WG agenda, and then if there's nothing tagged, then we skip the meeting.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we don't actually have to necessarily make a decision on that today, but it does seem like weekly Google Hangouts would probably be overkill.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we declare this meeting a rousing success and I click the stop broadcast button?
One suggestion for the next meeting, we could try to take notes.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm going to listen back to this one and I'll post some notes. But it'd be great if there's somebody else who wants to be the note taker.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Going once. Going twice. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time, and let's go get that accept pull request job back into the mix.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.